Top 10 video game soundtracks you need to stream now. Video game soundtracks take talented composers, arrangers, musicians, producers, and audio engineers thousands of hours to produce, and they make up for a huge amount of the in-game experience. So don't forget to watch today's video till the very end for the top 10 video game soundtracks you need to stream now. At number 10, the Ghost of Tsushima soundtrack. If jazz is all about the notes you didn't play, Ghost of Tsushima is a video game equivalent. Taking a page of the audio from 2017's Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and adapting it to the 1200s invasion of Japan, Ghost of Tsushima envelopes you in the living, breathing wilderness of Tsushima Island. Often, your exploration is spent among the sounds of nature, birds, your horse galloping through the grass, the guiding wind at your back, and playing through your controller speaker, but when you interact with the environment is when the compositions really shine. When you happen upon enemies, a driving percussive battle theme plays and ends perfectly in sync with the death of the final foe. When you come across a fox den, a playful flute melody plays, or during the story sections, leitmotifs characterize every interaction. The addition of a Kurosawa mode with period-appropriate visuals, music, and sound design is a fantastic plus to an already beautifully crafted game and fully voice-acted dialogue in multiple languages. 10 out of 10 would highly recommend. Adding a single soundtrack onto various levels and modes of a video game can make scoring a film sound like a stench in comparison. A movie or a television show is a linear medium. You know what's coming next and can match the pre-recorded music accordingly. But with a video game, the music needs to suit the various inputs of the player, who is at once the audience, the protagonist, and the director controlling the action. Thai arranger Hemstapat, who is now based in the United States, is drawn to unique challenges posed by video game soundtracks, which involve constructing complete compositions, then deconstructing and reconstructing them in an editing studio to accommodate divergent narratives. He believes that Ghost of Tsushima raises the bar for future projects by conveying subtler and more sophisticated emotional states, moving beyond what he calls the happy, sad, angry, fearful binaries commonly found in the action-adventure genre. Number 9. The Panzer Paladin soundtrack. Have you ever wondered what it would sound like if an actual metal band accompanied the Mega Man soundtrack? It doesn't matter, because that's exactly what the Tribute Games team has pulled off with this soundtrack. Driving double kicks push the soundtrack along under charming, catchy chiptune melodies. You know a soundtrack is good when you stopped playing hours ago and you're still whistling the tunes. Patrice Bourgeol's score to Panzer Paladin encapsulates the idea of digital fusion. Not only does the score combine classic chiptune melodies with modern instrumentation, there was also an 8-bit rendition released for those who want to make a more nostalgic approach. The soundtrack is full of catchy melodies that perfectly complement the locales for which they are written. The Panzer Paladin 3-disc vinyl soundtrack album has been announced by Limited Run Games, featuring music by Patrice Bourgeol of Montreal, Canada. Available separately, Limited Run's Panzer Paladin Collector's Edition for Switch bundled the physical cartridge with a 4-CD soundtrack set. Pre-orders for the Clear Smoke variant of the vinyl soundtrack are available through European distributor Black Screen Records. The digital edition of the soundtrack can also be purchased there. Number 8. The Hades soundtrack. Darren Korb of Supergiant has never let us down. From the Western trip-hop stylings of Bastion to the newest offering from Supergiant, the Game of the Year contender Hades, Darren keeps his innovation knob cranked to 11. On the Hades soundtrack, he transformed traditional Greek instruments into the metal of the underworld. Not all music in the afterlife is metal, and the diversity of these tracks immerse you in the struggles of Zagreus, while attempting to escape from the underworld with forceful combat music, enticing hub music, and even the main menu music that gives you fair warning about the quest on which you're about to embark. Every sound is immaculate. Number 7. The Doom Eternal soundtrack. You had to know this was coming. Mick Gordon served us with a magnum opus in 2016, and following that he's continued to rip and tear our eardrums with 2020's newest installment of id Software's classic series. From sine waves passed through ridiculous amounts of gear for pure analog distortion, the screams and squelches of hordes of different demons, to a literal choir of heavy metal singers and screamers, no stone went unturned for the audio team in the Doom Slayer's latest bone-crunching trip through hell. Every sound is so in your face, so visceral, so purposeful that not only do you feel powerful, you sound powerful. All of this while still clearly communicating the game's mechanics and design. Your HUD elements sidechain the music so you can hear when your blood punch is ready. You can hear what kind of demon is around the next corner so you can prepare yourself. The sound in this game fits together very well. If the Divine Comedy has a soundtrack, we hope they would tap Mick Gordon to compose it. Number 6. The Paradise Killer soundtrack. First and foremost, let's make one thing clear. The Paradise Killer soundtrack slaps. It hits that synthy vaporwave hard with hints of funk thrown in for good measure. In a way, composer Barry Epoch topping crafted a suite that feels groovy, nostalgic, and fresh. When you explore the island, your brain engages critically with the murder mystery while your body instinctively vibes to the rhythm. Paradise Killer makes a bold first impression, but there's so much more to discover on the island. Specifically, 13 more songs await, hoping to be collected. When you find them, Love Dies adds them to a playlist which plays off the island's broadcast network. Paradise Killer is a beautiful, soaring tribute to mystery games. Barry Topping has created a rich environmental soundtrack. The game's musical systems give the player so much freedom and control over the sound, including the moody flavor text for each one of the tracks. You owe it to yourself to check this game out. Number 5. The THPS 1 and 2 soundtrack. This one may be a little unfair, but dang are we suckers for nostalgia. The entirety of the licensed catalog for this brings us right back to that blue cartridge or, regular PS1 disc. The sound design has been updated from the modern era of gaming. Still, the soundtrack remains a hit list of classic skate punk, hip-hop, pop punk, ska, and more, with tracks from Goldfinger, of course, Machine Gun Kelly, the Ataris, Billy Talent, the Dead Kennedys, and A Tribe Called Quest. The original version of this soundtrack introduced these artists to an entire generation of kids. The updated version brings all those feelings back in full force. Number 4. The Streets of Rage 4 soundtrack. Question: is it possible to be nostalgic for a genre you didn't even play growing up? Answer: yes. Streets of Rage 4 has brought Sega's arcade classic to the 21st century with updated graphics, gameplay mechanics, and more, while keeping the soundtrack a retro 80s arcade-inspired hit list with fully modernized limitations. It's not the chip-tuned bangers you remember from the arcade cabinet, but you won't be missing it. However, if you do, an entire secondary alternate soundtrack in the audio settings labeled as retro delivers what it promises. Full 16-bit renditions of the existing soundtrack with sound effects to match. Number 3. The Spiritfarer soundtrack. For a game primarily about death, Spiritfarer is dramatically understated. The game is washed with orchestral beauty and drowned in silky smooth reverbs, from the title track's dulcet piano-led ambient track to the Spanish guitar-adjacent seafaring music, an almost Disney-like quality. The shipyards are rousing, the thunder is jagged and wild, but all while still remaining a sense of calm and purpose. Spiritfarer teaches you, among other things, that death can be beautiful, graceful, and peaceful. And oh my god, I know this isn't sound related, but you can play as the cat. Number 2. The Yakuza Like a Dragon soundtrack. Yakuza Like a Dragon features some of the most bombastic soundtracks in a Ryuga Gotoku game to date. While many sound effects and audio cues are nods to older titles, Yakuza Like a Dragon delivers exciting and head-nod-worthy battle themes that fans of electro house, dubstep, and drum and bass are sure to love. Some of the favorites are Omirengo Headquarters theme and Receive and Turn You, Majima's theme. And topping our list at number 1 is, of course, the Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition soundtrack. The Devil May Cry series has never been one for subtlety in its gameplay or its music. DMC5 was a perfect return to form for fans of the series, new and old, bringing back the original white-haired trickster and with remixes of classic DMC tracks, alongside brand new compositions with insane wailing guitar shredding, tense cutscene tracks, a groovy menu screen, and so much more. You owe it to yourself to listen to the song Devil Trigger, if not the entire soundtrack. Original game soundtrack from the video game Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition, Virgil's Rebirth 2020. The music is composed by Capcom's sound team. That's it for today's video. Don't forget to join in next time for much more of such interesting content. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and see you next time.